up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Picks and Bets, brought to you by Prize Picks. If you haven't already checked out Prize Picks before, making bad life choices. Sign up using promo code MLB. That's Mayo Media Network, Major League Baseball in acronym form, and you get a free 100% deposit bonus up to $100. It's free money. All you got to do is play through it, and it is yours. And I'm going to be giving you out some picks. First one, if you just sign up now, you can throw it in there, make some free money. We got a good one for you today. We're going to be breaking down today's DraftKings slate, giving you some prize picks, giving you some bets. And if you don't know who I am, I'm Turd Ferguson, aka Grant Neiffer. I work over at Roto Grinders and over at Scores and Odds. You haven't checked them out. Best place for daily fantasy sports for Roto Grinders. Great place for sports betting, Scores and Odds. So go check them out. Get more of that later. But let's get into this after you go like and subscribe. The Mayo Media Network YouTube channel. Just go do it. Let you know when these videos are coming out. Makes things super easy. But we got a nice little slate here over on DraftKings. Nice one over on Prize Picks. My Prize Picks for the day. Again, get signed up using MLB. And you can throw in this one. I got Rizzo over 7.5 points. I got Gallo over 7 points. This is far too low for them for any matchup. Whenever it is, like the Yankees are very good. I get to lefty, but Tyler Anderson really is kind of a splits neutral lefty. He's really not a very good pitcher. He gives up a decent amount of power. He's just not really a guy that's going to do too much damage against these guys. Nice part about Prize Picks, pretty close to FanDuel scoring. So you get a guy that can get an RBI or a run very easily because they're in this high-powered offense, 7.5 in any given matchup, as long as they're not going up against an ace. Is just too low. It's that simple. It's just far too low. Tyler Anderson since the beginning of last season has over a 5x whip, only striking out bats at an 18% clip. Again, a little bit more towards splits neutral. Doesn't give up a ton of fly balls to lefties, but gives up a 36% hard contact rate going back to the beginning of last season. Gallo and Rizzo, their numbers are too low. I get it's a lefty-lefty matchup. Don't pay that much attention into it. Does not matter. Still being played over New York. Still a solid ballpark. These numbers are just too low. Go ahead, hammer the over and move on. But now let's get to some DraftKings stuff here. We'll start off with pitchers. Going first, we got Framber Valdez. Been a little bit worse this year than he was last year. Still a very solid overall pitcher, sitting under a 4x FIP, over a 21% K rate, almost 22. Been a little bit wild, but the ground balls have absolutely been fantastic. 73.5% ground ball rate on the season. That's why his ERA is much lower than his xFIP. He's going up against the Twins. Twins obviously shipped off Cruz. They're really not a great lineup. I mean, they have a few decent bats, Polanco, Donaldson, Kepler, but I think Larnach is striking out one of the biggest rates in the league. Sano striking out at one of the biggest rates in the league. This is a pretty high strikeout lineup, which bodes very well for Framber, and it's not a great lineup. They only have a 3.6 implied run total going up against them. Framber is under 10K, which is a solid one. This is not a slate with a ton of aces because there's not a ton of game, only 6 on it. So you have to pick some pitching, and there's a lot of good spots with bats. So if you want to pay up, you could go Sonny Gray. You could go Framber. I'm going Framber. I just think it's a better spot. I think they're more likely to win. And I think it's just as good of a matchup going up against the Pirates in a better ballpark. So that's the first one. Next up, Cortez. Cortez has been pretty solid so far this year. Don't know how late he's going to go into the game. His last start, he went to 79 pitches, so it's possible he can go up to 90, but he's a lefty going up against the Mariners, who have a ton of lefties. Like, I know he's been a little bit reverse split so far this year. We look at his pitch mix. He's still been, there's no reason that he should be that much of a reverse splits guy, but that's just kind of what's happened. Cortez, solid overall pitcher this season, solid since the beginning of last season, well above the average strikeout pitcher going up against a big strikeout lineup that does not do well versus lefties. So it's real simple. You just go with it, knowing that there's a high strikeout lineup that really, really struggles versus lefties, and they have mostly lefty bats. If they end up platooning guys out, then it's going to be a watered-down lineup. In any case, it's already a watered-down lineup. Not a ton of great hitters, but their main guys are lefties outside of Haniger. So you stick with Cortez, 7.9K, probably a bit too cheap. It's just that simple. Framber, Cortez, both Valdez, Cortez, both the best pitchers on the slate, in my opinion. Again, recording the night before, things can often change. Maybe they don't end up pitching, but that's the information we have now, and those are my two favorite guys. Next, let's get up to the DraftKings stacks here. Let's start off with the first one. We got the Reds versus the Pirates. Well, guess what? Crow is on the mound. Crow is terrible. He has not been good this season. He is striking out guys that's slightly above average for the league, but walking 11% of bats, giving up fly balls, giving up a 40% hard contact rate, walking guys at a 10% plus clip. They're playing over in the Great America Small Park. Obviously, a fantastic ballpark for hitters. And guess what? Reds have some pop. It's just that simple. Crow, not really great versus either side of the plate, giving up a lot of power to both sides of the plate. Kind of a little bit splits neutral so far this season, maybe slightly better versus lefties, but I'm not buying into that too much. The guys I got is, first off, Joey Votto, 5,700. Dude's been on an absolute tear. Things died down a little bit over the last few days, but still, you look over those last month stats, think he's leading the league in home runs. Then you got Naquin, may end up getting or pinch hit for, always a possibility, but you get those price savings at 2,800 for a guy with a whole bunch of pop. Absolutely fantastic play. Farmer, been very good over the last month, probably batting in the heart of that order. 3.4K, gets that shortstop slot for you. A little bit too cheap, love throwing him in. And then Winker, been fantastic most of the season, had a little bit of a slump, but doing a little bit better recently. Winker, 5.4K, has a ton of pop, has a platoon split. Crow is terrible. It's that simple. You just play all those guys. Anyone else you want to throw in, Suarez, Barnhart, all fine. Those are my main four bats. Those are the ones I would suggest, but anyone you can go with. The Reds are in a great spot going up against Will Crow in a fantastic ballpark. Next up, we got the Astros going up against the Twins. We got Griffin Jax on the mound, who this guy clearly is not quite ready for the majors. Sitting over a 6x FIP, 16% K rate, has not been good to the either side of the plate in any possible way. He's just been bad. Specifically, he's been horrible going up against lefties. Been a little bit lucky, isn't giving up a ton of hard contact, but he's walking them at a 15% clip. Well, guess what? We got a few lefties in this lineup that are far too cheap. We got Michael Brantley, a guy that's just a fantastic hitter. Not a ton of pop, although he did get a home run tonight going up against Max Scherzer. Impressive. But Brantley sitting there at 3,100 is far too cheap of a price tag, as it is almost every single day. People still don't play him as much as they should. I don't care. He's a lock and load for me. Yordan Alvarez, guy just mashes, just absolutely crushes the ball. It's as simple as that. He is very, very good. Tons of power. He should be in the lineup. He can end up just tearing the cover off the ball. 4,600, probably still too cheap of a price tag for a guy that has a 375 WOBA and a 296 ISO going up against righties, and he's going up against a bad pitcher. Next up, Kyle Tucker. Again, similar numbers to Yordan Alvarez, and yet he's 3,600. Just a silly price tag. Shouldn't have to explain more, but he's got close to a 400 WOBA, close to 300 ISO versus righties. Last up, Jose Altuve, just a fantastic hitter. Probably batting leadoff, going up against Crow. Absolutely or going up against Jax. Absolutely fantastic spot here. Just play all those guys. Anyone you want to play in the Houston lineup, I'm entirely fine with this. Stack is absolutely fantastic today. Just throw them on in there. Next up, we got individual bats. I've already talked about a few of these guys. First off, Michael Brantley, 3,100, too cheap. Already told you. Kyle Tucker, 3,800, far too cheap. Already told you that. But Giancarlo Stanton, 4,300. This guy is fantastic. I don't understand this price tag at all. It's just silly to me. Going up against the Mariners, going up against Tyler Anderson. Again, he's a little bit better than against lefties, but pretty close to splits neutral. Does not matter in any case because Stanton has the platoon split, and he's a far, far better batter than this price tag of 4,300. Throw him in there. George Springer been on an absolute tear recently. Another home run tonight. He's just been crushing the ball, and he has a pretty solid overall matchup going up against Tristan McKenzie. Guy does have strikeout ability, but Springer's a good enough batter, batting at the top of the lineup, one of the highest total games on the slate. Just because he's been so hot, I'm fully willing to pay this price tag. Just throw him in, move on. Next up, we got Ozzie Albies, 4,900. probably a too cheap price tag for him, considering he's going up against Wade LeBlanc. Wade LeBlanc is not a great pitcher. He does not really have any redeeming qualities. And guess what? Albies has been very, very solid this year versus lefties. About a 400 WOBA, 280 ISO. He has been very good, and Wade LeBlanc has not been good at all. He's got a 390 WOBA giving up against righties, a 225 ISO. It's just bad. He's not a good pitcher. For some reason, St. Louis loves playing pitchers that are horrible lefties. I do not understand it at all. It's just absolutely silly to me, but not a great ballpark, but Albies is good enough, bat and leadoff there in this revamped Braves lineup. So those are my main bats. If you're taking one-offs, stacks, Houston and Cincinnati, pitchers, Cortez, Valdez. That's my picks for today. Over on DraftKings, again, Rizzo, Gallo, overs over on picks. And we'll get to the bets here. Braves versus Cardinals, over 9 runs. Again, I almost put the Braves as one of my favorite stacks. I do think they'll be a little bit sneaky, but they're in a fantastic spot going up against Wade LeBlanc. Again, a lot of varieties in that lineup that do very well versus bad lefties, and LeBlanc's of bad lefties. So I'm taking the over in runs because even Toussaint can get a little bit wild, can give up some runs, may not give up a ton of fantasy points, but he can get wild enough to give up some runs. I think the over of 9 is just a bit too low. I'm taking the over, and Braves money line minus 107. When I wrote this, I think it's up to 110. It's probably going to keep going up. Honestly, this is just a bad line. LeBlanc, way worse of a pitcher than Toussaint. Braves lineup, way better lineup than the Cardinals. Bullpen, kind of a toss-up. So I'm taking the Braves, even though it's on the road. Their lineup is just underrated with all the power they have, with the addition of Soler and the addition of Duvall and the addition of Jock Jams. So take the money line for the Braves, over on 9 total runs, and just do it. All right, guys, that seems like it's about it. Again, I am Grant Neiffer. Work over on Roto Grinders. Absolutely go check it out. We got tools, we got pods, we got live streaming, we got up to the minute stuff for when the slate locks. We got bets, we got everything, and scores and odds. Absolutely fantastic. Giving you all the bets, tons of tools. You can check out the prices of props from every single site in one simple app. Check out the odds on money lines, totals, spreads, all over the place over on Scores and Odds. So go check it out. Check out Roto Grinders. I'm on there pretty much every single day with either an article or rankings or videos or podcasts. So go check it out, guys. It's been fun. Good luck on all your stuff today. I'll be back again next week. I'm out of here. See you, kids.